There are cases in the shadow files that have a rational explanation. A missing person who wanted to disappear. A locked door with a hidden key. A coincidence that looks like something more when you examine it in the dark. Case 002 is not one of those cases. I want to start with the drawing, because everything about this case begins and ends with a drawing made by a 9-year-old girl at a kitchen table in rural Ohio. It showed a white church on a hill, 3 oak trees to the left, a small rectangular hole in the ground in front of the church steps. She showed it to her mother when she finished it. Her mother asked her what it was. Nora Harlow looked at the drawing for a moment, then she looked at her mother, and she said, "This is where I am going to sleep." 3 weeks later, Nora Harlow was buried at St. Michael's Church, a church 12 miles from her home that she had never once visited, on a hill, with 3 oak trees to the left, in the exact spot she had drawn. The drawing still exists. I've seen it. This is case 002 of the Shadow Files. Harlow Creek, Ohio. Population 3,100 in the winter of 1993. One of those towns that exists quietly between 2 larger places known to no one outside its county lines. The kind of town where the diner has been open since 1951 and no one has ever changed the menu. Where the school parking lot is full on Friday nights for the football game. Where everyone attends the same Christmas Eve service and everyone is buried in the same cemetery. The Harlow family had lived in Harlow Creek since the town was founded. Patricia Harlow was 34 in 1993, a bookkeeper for the county agricultural office, divorced since 1989. She lived alone with her daughter Nora in a pale yellow house on Crestwood Drive, 2 blocks from Nora's school. Nora was 9 years old, 3rd grade. Her teacher later described her to investigators as a child who was serious without being sad, observant, quiet at recess. Not because she was excluded, but because she seemed genuinely more interested in watching than participating. She was in every measurable way ordinary, except for the drawings. Nora had been drawing since she could hold a pencil. Not animals, not houses with smoke coming from the chimneys, not the things most 9-year-olds draw. Nora drew places, specific, detailed, precise places, rooms she had never been in, buildings that did not exist in Harlow Creek, roads that led nowhere anyone recognized. Her mother kept every drawing in a shoebox under Nora's bed. She thought it was a gift, a talent. She had no way of knowing it was something else entirely. In the first week of January 1993, 6 weeks before Nora died, something shifted. The first thing Patricia noticed was the crayon. Nora had always worked in pencil, clean lines, careful detail, no color. But in January, she stopped using the pencil entirely. She drew exclusively in black crayon from that point forward. Heavy pressed strokes, dark and dense, as if she was trying to make sure the lines could not be erased. The first new drawing showed a long, empty road lined with bare trees. The road stretched from the bottom of the page to the top and disappeared off the edge. There were no houses, no signs, no landmarks, just the road and the trees and the darkness between them. Patricia asked Nora what the road was. Nora said, "The way it goes." The second drawing appeared on January 9th. It showed a bedroom, a single narrow bed against a wall, a window on the left side letting in a gray flat light, a wooden floor with a visible grain pattern, and on the bed, a small figure lying flat on its back, arms at its sides, eyes closed. Patricia asked Nora who the figure was. Nora did not answer. She took the drawing from the table, put it in the shoebox herself, and went to her room. The third drawing appeared on January 19th, 1993. A white church with a simple peaked roof and a short square steeple. A stone path leading to the front steps. A hill rising behind the church. 3 oak trees clustered to the left of the building, each one rendered with individual branches, no 2 the same. And in the lower center of the image, directly in front of the church steps, a small, precise rectangle, drawn into the ground, not a doorway, not a step, a hole, measured and deliberate and undeniable in what it represented. Patricia looked at the drawing for a long time. Then she looked at her daughter. Then she looked at the drawing again. She asked Nora what church it was. Nora shrugged and went back to her room. Patricia put the drawing in the shoebox. She told herself it meant nothing. She was wrong. Valentine's Day fell on a Sunday that year. Patricia had planned to make Nora's favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes. She came downstairs at 7:15 a.m., made the coffee, set out the mixing bowl, waited for Nora's footsteps on the stairs. They did not come. At 7:45 a.m., Patricia went upstairs to wake her daughter. She found Nora in her bed, arms at her sides, eyes closed. The gray flat light from the window, the same light Nora had drawn in the second drawing, lay across the wooden floor. The official cause of death was listed as sudden cardiac arrest. In a healthy 9-year-old girl with no known heart condition, no family history, and no prior symptoms of any kind. The coroner was a man named Dr. Francis Webb. He had served Harlow Creek for 31 years. He found nothing. No structural abnormality in the heart, no blockage, no viral damage, no toxicological indication, no trauma. Nothing. He signed the death certificate and closed the official file. But in his private case, notes that were never part of the official record, Dr. Webb had written a single additional line at the bottom of the page. 3 words. Did she know? The funeral was held 6 days later. Patricia had chosen St. Michael's Church, a small white church 12 miles outside Harlow Creek in a town called Caldwell Ridge. Nora had never been there. The car turned up the last road and St. Michael's came into view. White walls, simple, peaked roof, short square steeple, a hill behind it, 3 oak trees to the left. Patricia told her sister to stop the car. She got out. She stood on the road looking at the church for a long time. Then she said very quietly, she drew this. The burial plot was in front of the church steps, in the exact position of the small rectangle in Nora's drawing. After the service, Patricia went home. She took the shoebox out from under Nora's bed. She sat at the kitchen table and went through every drawing from January 1993. The road that went somewhere the drawing did not show. The figure in the bed with its eyes closed. The church with the hole in the ground. Then she picked up a pencil and she began to draw. Patricia had never drawn before in her life. But from February 1993 onward, she filled notebook after notebook. She described the experience to her sister in a letter. She wrote, "I do not decide to draw. I sit down and my hand moves. I watch it move the same way you would watch someone else's hand. When it stops, I look at what it made. I do not always recognize what I have drawn. Sometimes I never do. Sometimes I walk past a place 2 weeks later and I stop because I have already seen it." She continued drawing until her admission to a psychiatric facility in Columbus in March of 1999. In those 6 years, she filled 23 notebooks. In 2001, the house on Crestwood Drive was sold. The new owners found the shoebox under the bed and the 23 notebooks in the kitchen drawer. They contacted the Harlow Creek Historical Society, who contacted a professor of psychology at Ohio State University named Dr. Raymond Alt. Dr. Alt spent 11 months studying the drawings. In 2003, he published a paper titled Precognitive Visual Expression in Pre-Adolescent Subjects, a case study. The paper was cited twice in the first month. Then, it was removed from the university database. No retraction notice was issued. No explanation was given. The paper simply stopped being there. I found a cached version of the paper through a web archive in 2024. On the last page, Dr. Alt had added a personal note. I'm going to read it to you exactly as he wrote it. In the course of this study, I identified 17 locations depicted in Patricia Harlow's notebooks. Of those 17 locations, 14 have since been confirmed as sites where unexplained deaths occurred between 2001 and 2003. The remaining 3 locations I've been unable to identify. I've been looking for them for 11 months. I'm still looking. I do not know what to do with this information. I know only that I cannot unknow it, and that somewhere in those 3 remaining drawings, there may be something that matters. If anyone reading this recognizes the locations from the sketches, please contact me directly. Do not contact the university. Nora Harlow was 9 years old. She drew a church she had never visited, a hill she had never stood on, 3 oak trees in exactly the right position, and a grave, her own grave, 3 weeks before she needed one. Her mother drew 17 locations where people later died. A researcher found those connections, published them, and then went silent. 3 drawings are still missing, and somewhere in Ohio, Patricia Harlow may still be drawing. Whether Nora Harlow had a gift or a condition or knowledge that no 9-year-old should possess is a question this file cannot answer. Some questions are not in the shadow files. Some questions are the shadow files. Case 002 remains open. I will see you for case 003. Some files stay in the shadows for a reason.